Hey, I'm Sammy and this is Glitchless Chaos. This is all about where I'm raising kids, loving my neurodivergent husband, building a business, writing books, and keeping life interesting. If you feel like you're balancing it all too, then you came to the right place. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about something that has become really important to me lately: books. Reading actually has helped me in a lot of different ways. It's actually helped me slow so many things down. Now, when I'm reading, I'm actually able to shut a lot of things off and close a lot of tabs. If that makes any sense at all. Especially if I can get my husband to slow down and play video games, which he likes to do, but he hasn't done in a very, very long time. And it's very rare when we can get him to do that. And it really is really hard to get him to do. So when we are able to do it, I quickly grab a book, I quickly grab headphones, grab blankets, I curl up next to him, turn on rain noises, and open up a book. When that happens, my whole world comes to a stop and my new world starts. And it's amazing. I love it, love it, love it. When we get to do that, with the kids and everything, it does get kind of hard. Now, with the nightly routine that we do have, I do try to make sure that at certain times of night, we do try by let's say 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I try to make sure we are off of electronics, me and the hubs, and I'm reading a book by that time. But 9 times out of 10, that never gets to happen just because we're always trying to get something done so we don't have to do it the next day, But when it does come to reading though, he does try to make sure that I do at least get some reading time in. So there's that. And he's very sweet at it. Again, I don't say it enough, and I really do try to say it as much as I can. And I feel like I should say it every minute of every day, but he is the best emotional support husband in the world. He's the best husband ever. And I mean, he makes sure that when I can crack open a book, that I get time to read. And when I can step completely into that world, everything does slow down, and it's amazing. Now, I have mentioned before that I do have dyslexia, and growing up with that was horrible. I hated reading in front of people. I didn't like checking out books at the library, especially whether it be public library, whether it be the school library. I didn't like it. My teachers never could figure it out. Nobody could ever really truly figure out why. Everybody just thought that I just was slower, especially in my English class or when it came to anything, when it just came to any of that. And it was just the most horrific thing that you could have ever done to a child growing up, right? Now, with that being said, reading now is great. I still have it. I mean, I didn't grow out of it. I still am dyslexic, but I know what it is, and I'm able to take the time that I need with it, if that makes any sense. I'm able to stop, breathe, work through it, and then keep going. But I still will not check out a book from a library. I still will not read in front of, I do read to my husband, or I'll read to my best friend, but I only read to specific people if they know that I have dyslexia. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I don't like reading to people. I will not read to people. Now, it really is funny, but I've always loved it. Now, when I was growing up though, my mom did she would buy a couple of books, and when I did read to her, it would shock her because some of the words I knew and I was able to read, but there was other words that when I did have issues with it, even if I read the word, I would still mess it up, and she would obviously she would correct me. So it was one of those, she knew it, but she still messed it up. Let's just move on. It was one of those moments. Let's just go ahead and move on, but she still knows it, so we're just gonna keep it trucking. And I ended up having to get reading glasses, which obviously I do need glasses. I'm wearing glasses, so it's okay. But it was frustrating growing up. It was really, really frustrating growing up. And it was one of those things I didn't like it. I was embarrassed, so I avoided it at all costs. Now, 2020, I found a book fell in love with it, got it, and started getting books here and there. And in 2023, it skyrocketed from there and haven't stopped since. Except for we had a tornado a year ago. It'll be a year ago in May, and I had 148 books damaged. It was really sad. But we're not gonna talk about it. We're gonna skip over all of that. It was really sad, but we're gonna go over that. Now, for me, books feel like pushing the reset button on a whole new life. It's like reset, kind of like a video game. You're pressing reset, right? It's like a whole new player. Or if you want to start a new world, if you're playing, like my kids play Minecraft, so we're gonna say Minecraft. If you're playing Minecraft, it's like doing a whole new world. Or pressing reset on a brand new game that you messed up on, or something like that. And it's just, for me, it's like the world has become so overwhelming that I'm able to escape in the book. And it's a breath of fresh air. And when you crack open a new book, the smell is amazing. And it can just make my day so much better. I do have a Kindle, and I do read off my Kindle, but I do prefer a physical book over my Kindle. And just like I prefer going to a bookstore or like a small bookstore than a big bookstore, just because they smell different. Like a big bookstore to me smell like Barnes and Noble. It does smell like coffee because they do 9 times out of 10 they have a Starbucks in it. But and you can still smell the books, and it's still loud. Like there's still a lot of people in it. But if you go to a smaller bookstore, they're not as loud, they're not as crowded, and you can really get that just book smell, and it just smells so inviting, and it feels inviting, and it doesn't feel like people are just there just to look at you and just be there and just be rude. And it's more welcoming, I feel like. My opinion, nobody else's. Now, the one thing I have learned with books is they made me become a better writer. And I know that sounds really weird because I have dyslexia, but it's just funny because with as much of that I love reading, I became a writer. I have written my first book ever, and it actually has changed. It changed me. The moment I finished my final chapter, I actually cried. I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I actually finished a book. I created these people out of nowhere. I created a main character, a love interest, a best friend to the main character, the siblings, the mom, the dad. Like I created a whole universe. Like I created this whole thing, and I actually ended up being, it is a 4-book series with a duet prequel, and within that 4-book series, it has actually like this little standalone book that ties in between the 3rd and 4th book of the series. So it all together, it's like a 7-book series, which you can read the duet without having to read the other 4, and you can read the 3.5 without having to read all of it. So it's crazy, but you can also read it all together. So it's just so funny because it all started because I started reading. So it's funny how I picked up a book, started reading, then was like, oh wait, I have this idea, started writing, and then now look. I came up with the world, finished that very first book. I have actually people reading that book so I can get their opinions, and then now look, I'm literally like, it's becoming a thing, and it's exciting. Like the creativity of the imagination and watching it grow and watching the whole thing just become something of itself, and it's just that's the best way I can describe it. It's so exciting, and sometimes it does become overwhelming. Sometimes it does become so frustrating and upsetting and like maddening. You're like, why am I doing this to myself? Why did I start a book? Why did I start this? Why did I do that? Why am I doing this? And then at the same time, you go back and you reread a chapter, or you reread something, or you fix a line, or you look at something that you just did, and you're like, oh, that's why. Or when your daughter looks at you and go, mommy, I want to do what you do. That's why I do it. My middle, he is creating stories, and he doesn't like reading. My daughter, she likes to read because mommy started writing. My oldest tells me all the time, I want to do this because I like playing video games, but I want to do that because you started a business. I want to lift weights because daddy lifts weights. I want to do this because daddy looks like that. I want to do this because daddy does. Like we influence our kids a lot, but because me and my husband me and my husband put 110,000% into what we do. We have influenced them to do that now. And it's just, they're the reasons why I keep pushing as hard as I do. And they're the reasons why I keep going. Now my creativity, it's crazy because really, I believe that everyone needs some kind of hobby, some kind of creative outlook, or some kind of just outlook in general. And just to have something to get whatever it is, like whether it be like a book, whether it be singing. I sing. I love to sing. I don't like singing in front of other people. I don't like being center of attention, which is hilarious because I wrote a book and started a podcast. So funny, but I don't like being center of attention. I know I find it hilarious too. But again, I sing, and I've been told I'm a good singer. I don't know. But anyways, now that singing, writing, art, some kind of hobby. I feel everybody needs some kind of hobby just to have, I don't care what it is, as long as it's something that, makes them happy. My oldest, he has weightlifting, video games. My daughter, she loves to sing. She loves to play video games. My middle, he actually does his own books. He plays video games. He does, my kids do normal kid stuff. Me, my podcast, my reading, my writing, my business, I can't really say is a hobby because that is not a hobby. That is my business. And it's, there's always something that can be explored, and sometimes your hobbies can be turned into something like money making, can be turned into money making things. But then that doesn't become a hobby anymore. So really, 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 before you turn your hobby into a money making adventure, make sure that is something that you're willing to give up as a hobby. Because once that becomes a money-making adventure, that no longer becomes a hobby. That becomes something that you're going to eventually not want to look at and be like, you know what? I don't think I want to do you anymore, because sometimes you're not going to like it, if that makes any sense. Because I've seen a lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of people turn something that they were doing as a hobby because they love to do it, turn it into a money-making adventure, and they were good at it. They were having fun with it. And then 5 to 6 years down the road, they ended up not liking it anymore because it was just becoming something that they just didn't enjoy, and other things were happening, and it just became unenjoyable, and they ended up shutting it down. And it was really sad. And I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying make sure that's something that you're willing to give up. Now, off of my soapbox, but back to what we were saying. Creativity isn't just a hobby. I feel like a lot of creativity, though, isn't just a hobby all the time. I feel like it's a way how we process, how we see life, how you see it, how I see it, how Jim Bob down the road sees it. We all see life differently. We're not all going to see life the same exact way. There's no way everybody in the world sees life the exact same way. That is impossible. I don't see it the same way my husband sees it, the same way any of my kids see it. I see it 1,000% completely different. We all see similarities, yes, but I do not see life the same way anybody does at all. My brain sees it differently, and it's weird. It's cool, but it's weird. Now, brain dump moments. Now, the tabs that I have opened are a couple of plot twists, actually, for book 2. I have a couple of things that I want to do with book 2. There's a couple characters that I want to make in book 2, but I'm not happy with book 2 either. I'm already thinking about book 2 because, obviously I finished with book 1. So, once we finish edits and so on and so forth with book 1, I got to, go with book 2. But I'm happy, I'm excited. So always full of ideas, always running with stories. And I can't wait to completely and utterly finish with book 1. So once book 2 is completely and utterly done, I can get that out as well. And it's going to be exciting. I can't wait. And if you're having a great time hanging out with me, I want you guys to just have the best time. And if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, if you could follow the podcast, follow, and subscribe, that would be great. And thank you for hanging out with me today. This was fun. Remember, I love you. I'm Sammy, and this is Glitchless Chaos, where I kept it real.